Monday Mortgage Minute with your hosts, Tom McNamara and Bruce Woodburn.
Good
Hello.
morning.
How are we today?
Hope your Father's Day weekend was unbelievable.
Fantastic. Absolutely great. Looks like you're on the boat today.
We are on the boat today. We're heading back into the office. We spent the weekend out here, and we had a couple of Zoom meetings this morning, and it's nice to do Zoom meetings from the boat.
Yeah, there you go. It is. So, hey, listen, we have got a exciting thing to talk about that we're going to do tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, the 18th, 6:30 to 8 o'clock.
Yeah. So, I know we've talked about this one for a while now. What do you have planned? I know what I have planned to talk about.
So here's the thing. Right now, the biggest elephant in the room are interest rates. Everybody's struggling with interest rates being higher. But that's affecting not only the buyer, but it's affecting sellers because of the traffic that they have coming through. So I typically don't teach classes to sellers, but I think the time is now. So if you are looking to buy or sell, we are going to show you what you need to do to be able to attract the most amount of people coming through your home and make it worthwhile for a buyer. Because if you can't get those buyers through the door, you're not going to sell your house. And right now, they're just not pounding your doors down. So what are you going to do?
No.
You got to move. You got to do something. So we're going to show you some tricks of the trade that we can do that aren't just, hey, you need to have a price reduction. Hey, you need to have a price reduction. We're going to look at some other alternatives to help buyers and sellers come together, meeting of the minds, so that the buyer can buy and the seller can sell.
I got to say, yeah, absolutely. I have a listing that I'm struggling selling. It's in a 55 plus community, and those are struggling across the board. But just last week, I had a buyer's agent bringing a buyer through. The feedback was they loved it, probably going to make an offer. The next day, I heard back, hey, we found another one that was, a little bit cheaper, but they also offered $10,000 of closing cost assistance. And I'm like, I'm positive that my seller would offer some closing cost assistance, but they already were under contract. Yeah. So the key is not just being willing to, but proactively saying that you will, right? And we can do that inside the Realtor notes. It doesn't have to be public knowledge. It can be if you want it to be, right? But we can also say it inside the notes.
For sure. And can you imagine if you were the buyer or you were the seller and you looked at that and go, I lost that deal out, I would have done that. I absolutely would have done that.
Yeah. So now we're going to proactively. So I brought that to their attention, and I said, I think we should proactively offer this, and they said, yeah, let's do it. Right. So now we're going to, but we missed out on a potential buyer. Because our property is much nicer. It's on a lake. It's a little bit bigger. It's got a few more updates, but the other one was $10,000 cheaper, and they offered $10,000 of closing costs.
Well, and I'm going to tell you something. That's what this class is all going to be about.
Absolutely.
But it's not just going to be about closing costs. There's other ways that we can help you. So,
hey, I've got one tip. I'm going to give before we move on from this thing right here. Right. So the biggest tip, and this is something that people have always made this mistake. Okay. People always make the mistake of, I want to price my property high because I want wiggle room to negotiate. And that is absolutely, in this market, maybe 3 years ago, it wasn't a bad strategy. But this market right now, you have to price it appropriately where you expect it to sell, or actually just a tiny bit below where you expect it to sell. And you need to be ready and prepared, and sometimes proactively offer to help the buyer, whether it's closing cost assistance, whether it's a credit for repairs, telling somebody, hey, too bad you have to take it even with a bad roof, just doesn't work anymore. And
no, it doesn't. Buyers want more, and they can get it right now.
Absolutely.
They can. And then
sellers can still win. Sellers can still win as long as they're willing to correctly understand where their house is valued.
Everyone can win when you put the deal together right. They really can. Right. So we're still dealing with with interest rates. They came down a little bit last week, but today it looks like the bond market's off by 22 basis points, which is not really going in the direction I'd like to see it. But one day does not make a pattern. But I don't see interest rates being cut. There's threats that they're going to cut them at least once this year. That would have to be closer to the election, probably September, October. But I don't see anything happening anytime real soon. The government is still tapering back on purchasing mortgage-backed securities. So that's going to cause a little bit of a bump. That could be what's causing the increase in interest rates today. Because if the federal government does not buy mortgage-backed securities, who is? Who's buying them right now? So we need institutional money to buy mortgage-backed securities, or else money does not circulate. And if the government's pulling back, you have to remember the only reason we saw 3%, 2.5% interest rates back in the day was because the federal government was physically purchasing the mortgage-backed securities. No one else would do it. Who would do that in your right mind? Who's going to purchase a bond at 2%?
Right.
They're not going to do it. So with tapering, I think you're going to start to see interest rates just probably pop up a little bit for the next few days here, but I don't see any type of serious break in the action. So you have to find other ways to make that happen. And that's what we do. We find other ways to make things happen, because the fact of the matter is at the end of the day, you can complain about interest rates. You can complain about homeowners insurance. We all do. But are you complaining about the rent you're paying? You can't tell me that you don't like a 7% interest rate, but you're paying 100% interest on a rental property. So
absolutely,
it gets you nowhere. There's no such thing as a rich renter. I've never met one yet.
Well, there is Elon Musk, but I think he's the exception to every rule, right? So, hey, speaking of that, I saw something recently about Florida's unaffordability of rent, right? We're not quite the worst yet, but we're
not the worst, but we're in the top 10. I think we hit 5 or 6 of them. And I think number 10 was Lakeland, Florida. Now, here's what I'm getting at it. And then Orlando was number 9. I think Tampa was number 6. There was Cape Coral in there as well. But here's the thing that I see. I look at opportunity. I think other people look at the glass half empty. I'm looking at it half full. You're telling me that Lakeland and Orlando are going to become unaffordable within the next decade and already getting there? That tells me to buy more properties in Orlando and Lakeland. That's what that's telling me. That means that you just got, there's your sign. You just got the signal. There's your sign, right? Buy more properties in a place where they become unaffordable and you make money.
Right.
Why do I want to buy a place that's going to decline in value? I don't think so. I want a place that's going to increase in value. In Orlando, Lakeland, it's all coming together. You got Auburndale in there. They weren't mentioned, but come on, this is all part of the link between Tampa and Orlando. It's just going to be one big corridor. Get your hands in there as much as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. And so, that brings up, for you and me as investors, that's great. We should buy more houses. But if you don't own a house, you need to. And it might be a struggle. It might be tough. We have assistance. We have strategies. We have ways to help people get into homes, right? But if you're
help you with your credit, help you with down payment assistance. There's all kinds of ways we can help you. 100%.
Yeah, but if you're a renter and you're not doing that, you're just throwing your hands up and giving up on the whole thing. You're really making a long-term life error.
I would agree with that.
Those are hard to recover from. When you get into your 60s and you've never owned a home, you're behind, man. You're way behind.
Well, and it's a snowball effect too right now with people, because they're finding it difficult to save enough money because inflation is taking out too much of their paycheck just to get by. So it perpetuates the problem. Now I'm stuck in my rent because I don't have enough money to pay all my bills. How am I ever going to come up with enough money to be able to come up with a down payment? Well, that's why you seek professionals, and that's how you get your help. But if you are willing if you're willing to put forward an effort, if you are tired of being a renter, if you're tired of the vicious cycle that you're in, then you have to do something about it. You can call Tom and I, and we can get you started.
Yeah, absolutely. And come out to our seminar tomorrow, 6:30 to 8. You can go to webringyouhome.com to get registered. Just go to the events tab and get registered. Come out, and I think we've got seats for about 30 or so. So hopefully we have a full room.
Webringyouhome.com. Register right now. Bring a friend, anybody that wants to buy or sell a house. Come on out there. Even if you're a real estate agent or another mortgage lender, this is a non-solicitation, so it won't be. This is not a networking event. This is a training class and workshop to help buyers and sellers. So, but if you want to come around, come on out. Come out and meet us tomorrow night, 6:30 to 8 o'clock in Maitland. The address will be attached to this podcast webinar.
Great, Bruce. I got to get out. We're over time.